Uh, Good afternoon, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Hello, everyone, and welcome back again. I have some news to share with you. The war is still tense, still happening. TDF is approaching Dase, and heavy fighting happening over there and other areas. So there is also unconfirmed report of Ethiopia importing some drones and some weapons from Turkish. Uh, so it's unconfirmed. It needs further investigation, but it's reported entering Ethiopia. Even Ethiopian government using it against TDF. So the war is heavy. The war is still tense in the Western Front. TDF is engaged with the forces, the Eritrean forces stationed in Humera and other parts of Western Tigray, also with Amara and other militias brought from other regions, plus the federal force. As I said, very close to this major city like Dase and others. So on the other side, Oromo Liberation Front is also intensified its operation. It's capturing more villages, more cities in Walaga and other parts of Oromia region. So the situation is tense, but to report the names of the city, I don't have this, but they are expanding their gains against Prosperity Party. And the other thing is, if you remember last time I reported about the guy who attended the funeral, who prepared the the body of lawyer Abdul Jabbar Hussein, one of the lawyer for Oromo politicians, Bakkala Garba, Hamza Borona, and Johar Mohammed. So in that report, on that funeral day, he exposed the how Abdul Jabbar Hussein was assassinated by undercover operatives. I have a very short video I'll show you later. And that guy, after saying those things in public on a funeral ceremony, the government followed him, undercover operatives came to him very closely, watching him and threatening him. Fortunately, luckily, this guy escaped, leaving everything at home. He escaped. He's in a safe area now. He's fortunate to escape. And, he didn't say anything. He said what he saw on the body of the lawyer, how he was killed with a sharp staff, attacked close to very close to his head. So he was talking about uncontrolled blooding during the preparation of his body for funeral. So the this thing shows that how Ethiopia becomes a dangerous place for its own citizens, especially Oromia under Abiy Ahmed and under Shimallis Abdisa and other Oromo PP officials. How it's very dangerous and very threatening for citizens to live and to represent those who are in jail, those who are seeking justice, even though there is no justice. So this is an indication that Ethiopia is a very dangerous place. It's very unsafe place for its own citizens. Forget about for those coming to invest or for those coming as a tourist, but it's very dangerous for its own citizens. And luckily this guy, he escaped. He got an interview with Oromia 11 TV, which is stationed in Twin City, Minnesota. So his name is Gutema Khalil, Ustad Gutema Khalil. I'm happy to see him escaping safely from that dangerous country. So those who are not lucky, they will be assassinated like lawyer Abdul Jabbar Hussein and others. So Ethiopia is very dangerous, especially Oromia is very dangerous for Oromos. And as I reported last time, they have, under Abiy Ahmed, they have a policy to shoot and kill without any accountability. Possibly, if possible, do it undercover. If not, they are allowed to do openly, publicly. So that's the point I want to add. It's a very serious situation. Ethiopia is a very dangerous place. I called on Prime Minister multiple times on this media to consider resigning for the sake of Ethiopians and for the sake of the country, for peace and the stability of that country. But he is still insisted staying on power, continue the bloodshed, and we will see. Okay, let's see some other news. United States says war in Ethiopia's north could affect trade benefits. The ongoing war and the humanitarian crisis in Ethiopia's north could affect the country's trade benefits under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA. The United States Trade Representative's Office said the AGOA trade program provides sub-Saharan African nations duty-free access to the United States on the condition they meet certain eligibility requirements, such as eliminating barriers to U.S. trade and investment and making progress towards political pluralism. U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai met virtually with Ethiopia's chief trade negotiator Mammo ምህረቱ on Wednesday. Catherine raised the ongoing violation of internationally recognized human rights amid the ongoing conflict and the humanitarian crisis in northern Ethiopia, which could affect Ethiopia's future. African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, eligibility if unaddressed. Mammo didn't immediately respond to a comment requested on Thursday. Ethiopia's Foreign Affairs Ministry spokesperson Dina Mufti told reporters at a news conference in Addis Ababa on Thursday the issue of AGOA GOA is being presented to intimidate us. There is nothing that is being terminated, he said. It is possible that we will agree on issue. The office of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. AGOA, approved in 2000, provide African countries with duty-free access to the United States market for more than 1,800 products, with the aim of supporting African economic growth. Ethiopia exported 525 million in goods to the United States in the year 2020. 525 million goods. The conflict in northern Ethiopia region of Tigray erupted in November 2020 and has now spread to neighboring regions. The United Nations has said that war crimes may have been committed by all parties to conflict. Ethiopia's government has said it will hold those who commit abuse to account. It has denied blocking food aid to the region. So credit for this one is Reuters. So Ethiopia, if she doesn't address the issue, the war issue happening in northern part, mostly the international organization, the United States, Europe, mostly they focus on the northern part of Ethiopia. So for this reason, Ethiopia might lose the privilege of exporting goods free of charge, free of tax to the United States. It could lose $525 million a year if this imposed on the goods coming from Ethiopia to the United States. So that's a warning. Deal it with it. Address this issue. If not, this is coming. So this is an additional pressure on Ethiopia. Just one side on trade relation. I don't think they're gonna address it because they didn't do with other concerns. They don't do it. They don't care. So we'll see. But the thing, the international community so far, ignoring what is happening in Oromia, all the atrocities happening against Oromo people, all the arrests, illegal arrests, lack of justice in Oromia. People are just assassinated openly and undercover operation. So far they ignore. I hope they will pay attention the ongoing conflict in Oromia and the atrocities happening against Oromos by this government. I hope they will wake up and address it before too late. Okay, Sudan gets over 857 million from International Monetary Fund. 857 million. Sudan received over 857 million from the International Monetary Fund as part of a global effort to support vulnerable countries to cope with the negative impact of COVID-19 on their economy. Earlier this week, the International Monetary Fund announced that about 650 billion have been allocated to its members to address the need for reserve, build confidence, and foster the resilience and the stability of the global economy. The allocation, which has been made to 190 IMF members participating in the special drawing rights, department is decided in proportion to their existing quotas in the fund. The International Monetary Fund has allocated 604 million SDR, equivalent to 857.68 million for Sudan. It is available without restrictions to address the current economic situation in Sudan, reads a statement issued by the Central Bank of Sudan, without restriction, and allowed to use 857 plus million dollar. This allocation will significantly strengthen the central bank's foreign exchange reserves. Also, it will enable the bank to continue implementing the managing flexible exchange rate policy to stabilize exchange rates and achieve macroeconomic stability, said the central bank. The transitional government has been exerting huge effort to deal with the economic crisis the country is experiencing and control the hard currency market. On 21 February, the central bank devaluated the pound and decided to feed commercial banks with hard currency to fight back market traders whose activities gradually declined. Economists in Khartoum also expect that the inflation rate will decline sharply in the coming months. So it's very good for the government of Sudan, the transitional government of Sudan, for getting such amount of millions, 857 millions, without to spend it without restriction. It's good, you know, if they can avoid corruption, it can be used for many things, to create jobs and to, you know, to facilitate the living condition for their citizens. So this kind of approach we need for Ethiopia. Ethiopia is suffering under Abiy Ahmed very badly under this Prosperity Party agenda. They are not getting anything. They are not getting anything. They are not producing anything inside. People are starving. Multiple war, command post, inflation, ethnic tension, injustice everywhere. Ethiopia is in a very bad shape under this prime minister. I hope he will consider resign. I hope he will facilitate for others to take part in a new government, not the one they're gonna do in September. That's a fake one. That's a fake one. I don't think it will be acceptable. Okay, this is a statement on the terrorist attack happened yesterday in Kabul airport. So this is a press release from the United States State Department, Anthony Blinken. It starts with today, but it was yesterday. Today's bombing around the Kabul airport were a devastating reminder of the dangerous condition in which our service members and the diplomats are operating as we conclude the United States 20-year military mission in Afghanistan. As the president said, the service members who were killed and wounded today, it's yesterday, are heroes. They put their lives on the line to defend our civilian personnel, the civilian personnel of our allies and partners, and Americans, third country nations, and Afghans seeking safety. To date, more than 100,000 people have been safely evacuated from Kabul, a testament to the bravery, skill, and determination of all those who are contributing to this vital mission. We grieve those we lost today, and we express our most heartfelt condolence to their loved ones. We also grieve the loss of Afghans gathered near the airport hoping for a chance to start a new life elsewhere. And we honor the more than 2,300 US service members who have died in Afghanistan since 2001, the more than 20,000 who have been wounded, and the more than 800,000 who have served in Amara's longest war, as well as, who have served in America's longest war, as well as other Americans killed and wounded in the conflict. Around the world, United States Marines protect American embassies and diplomats. They put themselves in harm's way so that we can do our jobs on behalf of the American people. Even after the attack, they are doing the right thing now in Kabul, as they are in so many other parts of the world. And they will continue to do so as we complete this mission. We at the State Department feel an extraordinary debt of gratitude to them today and every day. So that's the statement. That is the State Department press release on the bombing, the suicide bombing at Kabul airport yesterday. I think the death toll is more than 110 now, and more than 13 US servicemen killed. So it's a tragedy happened at the end of the mission. So judge blocked Florida governor order banning mask mandates. Florida school districts can legally require their students to wear masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19. A judge ruled on Friday saying Governor Ron DeSantis overstepped his authority when he issued an executive order banning such mandates. Leon County Circuit Judge John C. Cooper agreed with a group of parents who claimed in a lawsuit that DeSantis' order is unconstitutional and cannot be enforced. The governor's order gave parents the sole right to decide if their children wears a mask at school. Cooper said, Judge Cooper said, DeSantis' order is without legal authority. His decision came after a 3-day virtual hearing and after 10 Florida school boards voted to defy DeSantis and impose mask requirements with no parental opt-out. Districts that have done so include Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, West Palm Beach, and others. Cooper's ruling will not go into effect until it is put into writing, which the judge asked the parent lawyers to complete by Monday. The law does not ban mask mandate at all, Cooper said during a 2-hour hearing that was concluded online because of the resurgent pandemic. It does not require that a mask mandate must include a parental opt-out at all. The judge also noted that 2 Florida Supreme Court's decisions from 1914 and 1939 found that individual rights are limited by their impact on the rights of others. For example, he said, adults have the right to drink alcohol, but not to drive drunk, because that endangers others. There is a right to free speech, but not to harass or threaten others or yell fire in a crowded theater, he said. We don't have the right because exercising, we don't have that right because exercising the right in that way is harmful or potentially harmful to other people, Cooper said. He added that the law is full of examples of rights that are limited when the good of others would be adversely affected by those rights. In the same vein, he said, school boards can reasonably argue that maskless students endanger the health of other students and teachers. Credit Associated Press. So I agree with this judge decision. Too many controversy over issues related with COVID-19 and the mask mandate. I think it's better to use common sense and follow CDC guidelines on how to deal with COVID-19 instead of using executive order or politicizing it. This doesn't help to stop the spreading of this COVID-19. The Delta variant is still spreading. We are not out of the wood yet, so I agree. Yes, we have individual freedoms, even collective freedoms, but that freedom is very limited, as the judge said. How it's limited? When the impact on others are high, or when the impact to others, for example, you are not masked, you can be unmasked at home, like me now. But when you go out to restaurant, when you go to school, or somewhere for service, joining others, then that freedom will be impacted. So I agree with him. I appreciate his decision, and that's a common sense. And also, he said he took example from long time, 1914 and the 1939 Florida law. He also used about drinking and driving. Yes, every adult has a right to drink. That's why they say drink responsibly. If you drink, don't drive, because you are endangering others. So we have to use common sense to deal with this COVID-19 until we are out from this virus. We have to use common sense. We have to discuss better ways how to deal with it instead of listening to conspiracies, talking about ineffectiveness of vaccine, ineffectiveness of face masking, all this, talking against it. The vaccines are effective. It's already studied by specialist doctors, and it's already got full approval. CDC and FDA full approval. So why we are arguing against this? Get the vaccine, protect yourself until the CDC says no more COVID-19 in the United States or around the world. It takes time. It might take time. So that's good. Thank you again for attending the reading part, and I will share just very short ones, videos. Then I will conclude today's presentation. So the first one is about the guy I told you, the Ustad who exposed the criminal acts of the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his associate happening in Ethiopia. The killing squad is keep killing Oromos. maybe happening somewhere else, but now it's heavy at Oromos. So I will just play a little bit so you can know which the guy, and I appreciate his courageous to speak up without fear, and I'm happy I'm glad he's out for now. So he will be back when the country is free from these killers. And I have one more then on UN. There we go. This is the guy, Ustad Gutema Khalil. So he's saying, Mr. Abdul Jabbar Hussein gave his life for you. We know who killed him, and he's saying Ethiopia, we have together. Oromia, we own together. He's. There is God beyond these politicians.
Ustaz Gutema Khalil namoota reeffa Abukaatoo Abdul Jabbar Hussein dhiqanii fi haala isaa guutuu nama ilaalan keessaa nama tokko. Har'a isaan qabanneetiin dhiyaanneerra. Ustaz Gutema baga lubbuun jiraattan baga as geettanis. Baga isinis jiraattan Oromiyaa labans akkasumas hawaasni Oromoo alaa keessanis jiran baga arrageenne baga arrageettan jechuu barbaada. Ustaz Gutema akka gaafasiiti har'a guyyaa 15 deemaa rakkoo keessa galuu keessan dhageenne maatii keessan illee gattanii baqachuu keessan rakkachuu keessan dhageenne maaltu ta'e jalqabame keessan irraa haa kaasnuti waan iccitii ajjechaa saniititti haasa'u deebina haala isin keessa jirtan jalqaba nuu himame. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin.
So this is Mr. Gutema Khalil or Ustad Gutema Khalil.
Hawaasni Oromoo roorroo inni keessa jiru hawaasa Oromootiif ka keessatiifis ka alaatiifis ifa. Jaarraa dhufaata biraa keessatti sirna dhufaata biraadhaan hawaasni kun ajjeefamaa akka ture, baqachaa akka ture beekama. Kanaaf anas sarrama hawaasa keenya kalee mudatantuu anallee mudatee bakka kana jira jechuu baadhus yeroo ammaa kana keessa maatiif hawaasa kiyyaafis biyya kiyyaas akka gadhiise beekamaadha. Dhugaa dubbachuutu sirna amma jiru kanaan deebamee biyya ba'uun kiyyaa hawaasni kiyya kaalaa keessaa hubachuu qaba jechuu barbaadetti.
Okay. So you know, uh, he was explaining that for a generation, almost killed, harassed, arrested, you know, exposed to many atrocities. So in the same way, he also, for telling the truth on that day, for exposing the criminal conduct of this prime minister and his associate in Oromia. They assigned undercover operatives and other securities intelligence to take him out. So he's luckily, as I said, left everything he owned and escaped, just like most of us, fortunate to escape. Those are unfortunate. They are killed, dragged their body on the streets, hung on the tree, thrown in the forest by riverside. So these atrocities continue. So the tape is more details. If you are interested to listen to that interview, please go to Oromia 11 channel or program, which is in Minnesota. So he will describe everything, how the blood was bothering them when they are preparing Mr. Abdul Jabbar's body for funeral. So they couldn't control it, the bleeding coming from mouth and other part. And he was telling it was done by very sharp tools and close to his neck in 2 places, I think, and they put cottons into his mouth to maybe, I don't know, not to expose themselves. Maybe he's crying, maybe to control that, they put stuff in his mouth. So it's horrible to describe the crimes happening under this government. I hope Oromia will be free very soon, but it takes time. Okay, I have one last video for today, then I will conclude. That's this one is about United Nations. Okay, let's see. Give me just a minute. Okay, let's see what we can do. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, coming up. Just give me a little bit time. Okay, this is about the next step is about the United Nations. Mr. Guterres, United Nations General Secretary, opening remark before the Security Council meeting. But that meeting ended without resolution. Why? Because China, Russia, India, and Kenya, in some extent, oppose, for any resolution. This is for the 8th time, 8 times without any resolution. So we have 2 groups: United States, United Kingdom, and the others one side, and Russia, China, and on the other side supporting the Prime Minister, even though the country is dying under his leadership. They say it is the internal matter and Ethiopia can handle it. So that's the argument. But also Russia and China has some issue with the United States. They don't want to have any resolution because they are also under United States sanctions. They are pissed off with so many other policies. There is a conflict. So United Nations is not expected to produce any credible resolution on Ethiopia. So that's the situation. But let's listen to the opening remark by Antonio Guterres.
To warmly welcome the
And
Secretary General,
Indian. This
His
is
Excellency
Indian.
Mr. Antonio Guterres, and would like to give him the floor. The floor is yours, Excellency.
Mr. President, thank you for convening this meeting on the situation in Ethiopia, a matter that is increasingly preoccupying the African continent and the wider international community. A military confrontation, which started some 10 months ago in the northern region of Tigray, is spreading. And the level of human suffering is growing, with serious political, economic, and humanitarian implications for Ethiopia and the broader region. All parties must recognize a simple truth: there is no military solution. Last week, I issued an appeal for action on 3 fronts. First, calling on all parties to immediately cease hostilities. Second, ensuring a commitment for unrestricted humanitarian access everywhere and fully reestablishing of public services. Third, creating the conditions for the start of an Ethiopian-led political dialogue to find a solution to this crisis. These steps are essential for 2 critical reasons. First, the unity of Ethiopia and the stability of the region are at stake, and they are very important. The military front lines in Tigray have now reached the regions of Amhara and Afar. The declaration of a unilateral ceasefire by the government of Ethiopia on the 28th of June and withdrawal of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces from Mekelle did not lead to a comprehensive ceasefire. The Tigray region remains largely under a de facto humanitarian blockade and cut off from key public services such as electricity and communications. Tigrayan forces have since expanded their presence into neighboring Amhara and Afar regions, where fighting has escalated. Other actors in Ethiopia have entered the fight through mass mobilization and the activation of regional armed groups. Inflammatory rhetoric and ethnic profiling are tearing apart the social fabric of the country. The wider region is already witnessing the political, economic, and social impact of the conflict beyond the borders of Ethiopia. Second, the human price of this war is mounting by the day. A humanitarian catastrophe is unfolding before our eyes. More than 2 million people have been displaced from their homes. 1 million more are in immediate need of life-saving humanitarian assistance, including food, water, shelter, and health care. At least 400,000 people are living in famine-like conditions. Last month, UNICEF warned that 100,000 children face life-threatening severe acute malnutrition over the next 12 months. Refugee camps have been destroyed. Healthcare systems have been decimated, with hospitals and clinics attacked and looted. And this has all been exacerbated by electricity and communications blackouts. I'm also deeply concerned by reports of horrific sexual and gender-based violence from survivors, including women and children. I condemn these atrocity acts in the strongest possible terms. This is compounded by other serious allegations of human rights violations and abuses against civilians reportedly perpetrated by all parties to the conflict. There must be accountability. A joint investigation by the Office of United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission is concluding. Mr. President, the United Nations and its humanitarian partners have mobilized to reach more than 5 million people with food or other essentials. But the capacity to respond is severely constrained by insecurity, delays, and a host of restrictions on the work of humanitarian organizations. overland access into Tigray now depends on a single route through the Afar region, which involves passing through numerous checkpoints. Humanitarian organizations require roughly 100 trucks worth of assistance and supplies to reach Mekelle every day. Yes, since mid-July, an average of less than 10 trucks per day have been able to get through, and no trucks have arrived for over a week, while food warehouses are now empty. Sadly, humanitarian workers have been harassed and even killed. Well beyond Tigray, the conflict in Afar and Amhara regions has displaced reportedly 300,000 more people. This is taking place alongside efforts to maintain broader humanitarian support across Ethiopia in response to intercommunal violence, flooding, locust infestation, and other challenges. The conflict is also taking a heavy economic toll, illustrating once again the utter folly of war. The fighting has already drained over $1 billion from the country's coffers. Debt is mounting, access to credit is drying up. Inflation is growing higher, and basic food items are running low. Meanwhile, Ethiopia is suffering from the 5th highest incidence of COVID cases on the continent. Mr. President, Excellencies, for all these reasons, I repeat my fundamental call. All parties must immediately end hostilities without preconditions and seize that opportunity to negotiate a lasting ceasefire. Foreign forces should leave the country. Unrestricted humanitarian access to all areas in need must be guaranteed, and humanitarian workers must be respected. Public services must be re-established. I believe there is an opportunity to address the conflict peacefully, which the parties must seize in the interest of Ethiopia. And conditions must be created for the start of an inclusive national political dialogue to address the underlying causes of the conflict and ensure Ethiopian voices direct the best way to peace. On these issues, I've been in contact with Prime Minister Abiy, and I also have received a letter from the President of the Tigray region, as it was elected at the time, in response to my appeal, which was also addressed to the President of the Security Council on this matter. The UN is ready to work together with the African Union and other key partners to support such a dialogue. In the period ahead, the attention and unity of the Security Council will be critical. Mr. President, allow me to express one final word of profound regret about the tragic events unfolding in Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a country full of promise, driven in large measure by the energy and initiative of its youth. It's heartbreaking to see many young Ethiopians being instrumentalized and mobilized in the war effort. Their energies are being channeled into a passive division and destruction instead of the passive building a better future for all Ethiopians. They will be the ultimate casualties in this needless conflict. In every sense, the future of Ethiopia is at stake. Let us pledge to do all we can to advance the best of national cohesion and peace, and I thank you.
I thank the Secretary General for his briefing.
Okay, so that is Antonio Guterres, UN Secretary General, discussing and in his opening remark the danger Ethiopia is facing and the way to resolve it through peaceful means, through dialogue. But I don't think Abiy Ahmed is interested in that, because he is looking for drones, tanks, and other weapons to crush the opposition. So there is lack of interest on that side, and he was advised by United States, European Union to settle this issue long time ago. He insisted on military operations. He got defeated multiple times, even though they claim ceasefire, thinking about Tigrayan farmers. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. So that is the situation. I don't think Ethiopia can play a major role in handling this issue. International pressure. I hope the Russians, China, India, and even our neighbor Kenya can play a major role in ways to settle this major conflict, not only in north but also in south part of, and actually nowhere is peace in that country. So instead of saying Ethiopia can handle its own affairs, they have to find a resolution, force this prime minister, to resign. They should demand. People are dying, bloodshed every day. Ethiopia is the land of bloodbath now. Too many conflicts. So the United Nations should come and ask. I know they don't have the mandate, but they should consider asking him to resign and demand a transitional government in that country. So that's the best way. But if China, Russia, and India leaning toward the interest of Abiy Ahmed and this condition, and US, United Kingdom, and others on the other side, no resolution. They can meet again tomorrow, but no resolution, no combined effort. The world will be better if all Security Council speak with one voice to save life, to end the bloodshed. So that's all I have for today. I will be back with other updates and comments from Concerned Citizen Media. Thank you again for taking your time to listen to me. I also appreciate you sharing the video with friends and family, and also encourage you to comment on my videos. I like to read them. I will respond to them. Thank you again. Be safe and use common sense for this COVID-19. We are not out of the woods yet. So long, everyone.